Hello, everyone. Welcome back for another episode of Design After Dark. We are working on our modern mountain timber frame cabin, and we're going to work on the roof today. So, what I'm going to do, we have kind of our basic shell of the building set up already. So, now we're going to actually, before we work on the roof, we're going to start with a um, kind of a big patio out here because that's going to kind of determine a few things I want to do with the roof. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of use a floor command. And I'm just going to look for 2x flooring. And what I want to do is I'm going to use this entire back side of the building. And from the furthest point, I just want to go out probably about 6 feet. And that's going to determine what we do. So that makes it 16 feet out here. Because what I want to do is cover this section beyond the garage. And that's going to be a pretty big area, actually. So now we're going to go to our roof and we're going to start creating one. And in this case, we're going to use because it's in the mountain area, it's going to be a pretty thick SIP roof. And we're going to start over the garage. We're going to go right here, and then we're going to have an overhang about 2 feet. And same thing. So let's get rid of these extra lines and square it off. I just did that real quick to come up with my dimension. And that's going to be our basic roof here. Now, I want to create a slope that sheds down over the patio. So we're going to go back real quick. And we're going to do edit. No, not edit. Edit footprint. And we're going to determine that as our slope. And we're just going to start it as a 312. We're going to keep it pretty low at the moment. Then what I'm going to do, because this is over the roof and we need a different kind of face on the bottom side of it that I have created in my template. So we're going to use a different one that goes over the patio. So we're going to go back and create a new roof. And this one's going to go out. Our patio is 16 feet. We want a little bit of an overhang, so we're going to go 18 feet. And we're going to line that up. And it's not lining up very well, so I'm going to do this. And I want this one to have tongue and groove underneath. Now, if we look at our left elevation, it's going to look a little funky for the minute here. And off of the edge of our deck, I just want at least an 8-foot clearance. So we're going to bring this down. And then this one we're going to move up, so it's going to look like one continuous roof when we're done. And let's see how tall that is. That's 18 feet. That's pretty high. So we may make this a little shallower, but we're going to start right there. Yeah, that's a lot of roof still. This is kind of part of the creative process, though, of how we're going to set this up. So we're going to go on to the next part that I want to do. And so that means we're going to go back to our roof plan. And what I want to do is we'll probably do these two areas. So now, let's just start with the main area first. And again, I want about a 2-foot overhang everywhere. And then we're going to square this off. And my intent is to have, okay, we're going to go with a 312 slope right now. My intent is to have this be the bottom side and it rise up. So when we look at it here, it's going to look something like that. But we're probably going to raise this up, especially because I'm sure, yeah, it's much lower than the garage. And we want this piece right here that we just created to be the main focal point. So let's go ahead and move that up just a little bit for now. And we'll probably change it as we get a little further, because I think we're going to have to make this lower. This is massive. So now the other one I want to do is going to cover this area. Whoop. And we have our overhang. And let's create our slope. Okay. That looks pretty good. And what I can do here is bring this one down just a little bit. That looks pretty good. So yeah, this is a lot of space right here yet. Let's see actually. Oh, we're in our 3D view, that's why. I want to see, what do we have actually from here? Yeah, it's about 7.5 feet. So we might bring that down a little bit as well. Again, we're going to kind of base this off of this roof and how much we want to drop it to. So let's go back to our roof one more time, because we want to create something at the center here. And I'm not really sure how I want to do this, so I'm going to just kind of create something a little more traditional there for the minute. And then let's do each of these are going to find the slope. And again, we'll just keep it at the 312 theme that we have everywhere else for the minute. And yeah, that still doesn't even meet this, which I don't really want to have. So we're going to have to do some figuring here. So the first thing I can do, let's create a little better way to see through this garage. So we're going to create a section here. And we'll go to that view. And let's make this a little better visually. Now, something I could do, I don't really need to have a SIP roof hanging outside. That actually doesn't make sense. So I want to see if I have my porch roof, which I don't. So I'm going to edit this roof sheathing because I do want that. So we're going to call this a porch roof. And we're going to edit it to add a layer. And it's going to be our finish layer. And this is going to take a second. Yeah, what I think I'm going to do is create that porch roof, because that won't be a stick, and we can bring it down a little bit lower, and in turn bring that garage roof down a little bit lower, because we want our slope to continue all the way through and be continuous, so it looks like one big roof plane. Okay, now we have our materials. So let's try tongue and groove. So T and G. And that's going to be probably 3/4 inch thick. Okay, then we can go back, and again we can make sure. See, now we gained 6 inches, which we can get down to 8 foot. Oh no, that's still right. Yeah. It didn't change from the bottom side there, actually. But we can see how much this changed. So let's bring this down. That's going to make a big difference as well. But still going to be pretty tall, I think. Yeah, it's still 17 feet. So let's try a 212 slope. That's pretty low, honestly, but it may be what we need to do here. That's 13 feet. I like that a little better. Still really tall, but... Okay, now let's look at the back side of the house quick. And that kind of helps us so this doesn't look so massive either. So let's go from here. So we're just over 21 feet. I think we can bring that down to probably something more like 18. Because that leaves us here with... yeah, that's not bad. And we'll bring this down. And where's it at? Yeah, I don't mind that. That looks pretty good right there. So let's look at this area in our 3D view. Ooh, it'd almost be better if that missed one another. I'm tempted now to bring this up a little higher, but I kind of like where we're at right here. I'm gonna think on that one. So actually, looking at our time, that kind of brings us to the end of the episode. So we're gonna wrap it up right here and come back in the next one. We'll clean these up a little bit and start throwing in maybe some windows and doors. So yeah, as always, thank you for watching, and until next time.